we have Introduction to Probability. Your vocabulary words are on the top left-hand corner. Our first vocabulary word is experiment. That's what you're filling in for your first blank. An experiment is an activity with varying results. Our next vocabulary word is outcomes, possible results of an experiment. And the third one is an event, which is the collection of one or more outcomes. I'll go over this. Okay, so an example of your vocabulary words, if you were to select a marble from a group of marbles, that would be your experiment. Each one of these marbles is your possible outcome. So this would have 6 possible outcomes. And an event would be selecting a green marble. So if you wanted to choose a green marble, you would have 2 favorable outcomes because there are 2 green marbles. For your next vocabulary word, probability. The probability of an event is a number that measures the likelihood that the event will occur. Probabilities are between 0 and 1, and they include 0 and 1. The diagram relates the likelihoods, which are written above, and probabilities below the diagram. You can write a probability as a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. So if you want to fill in your chart, the first one, all the way to the left, we have impossible. If you have a 0 or 0% chance, that means that is impossible. It's not going to happen. The next one would be unlikely. If you have a small percent, let's say 1/4, which is 0.25 or 25%, that would be unlikely. It's a low percent that it would happen. When you get to the middle of your diagram, it's equally likely to happen or not happen. It's a 50-50 chance of it happening. That's at 1/2, which is 0.5 or 50%. When you keep moving to the right, you get a percent greater than 50. So this example they give us is 3/4, which is 0.75 or 75%. That is likely to happen. There's a good chance it'll happen. And if you have 100% or 1, that is certain to happen. It is definitely going to happen. Okay, so example 1. This is in the top right-hand corner of your notes. You roll a number cube. A number cube is a die or dice, but it's just 1. So you roll a number cube. What are the possible outcomes? On a number cube, what could you land on?
6.
1 through 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
7.
What are the favorable outcomes of rolling an even number? So if you wanted to roll an even number, which one would you want to land on?
2,
2, 4, and 6. And what are the favorable outcomes of rolling a number greater than 5?
6.
6. 6 is the only number on the number cube that is greater than 5. Okay, if we move on to the next one, you guys need to see this spinner up here to answer these questions. So you spin the spinner. How many possible outcomes are there? 6. There are 6 sections on your spinner, so there are 6 possible outcomes. In how many ways can spinning a red occur?
3.
3, because we have 3 sections that are red. In how many ways can spinning not purple occur?
5.
5. That means we need to list all 5 ways. So what could we land on besides purple?
Red.
Red. How many reds are there?
3.
3. So we could land on one of 3 reds. What's our other colors? Green and blue. When you see the complement, that would be of that event not happening, or the opposite of the event. You might see that on your homework. Okay, I'm going to have you go ahead and start the on your own problems. We will go over some of them together. So, if you look at your on your own questions, the first one is, you randomly choose a letter from a hat that contains the letters A through K. What are the possible outcomes?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
Okay, so out of these possible outcomes, what would be our favorable outcomes of choosing a vowel?
A, E, I, O, U, something.
So, do we have O, U, and Y in our possible outcomes? No, so our only A, E, and I would be our favorable outcomes because those are the only vowels in our possible outcomes. Okay, for our next question, we have a question about marbles. A bag of marbles. How many possible outcomes are there?
8.
8. There are 8 outcomes because we have 8 marbles. In how many ways can choosing blue occur?
2.
2, because we have 2 blue marbles. In how many ways can choosing not yellow occur?
5.
5, and what are those favorable ways?
2 green, 1 red, 1
Green,
blue,
purple, red, and then we have 2 blues. Okay, so when it says not yellow, you want all of the choices that are not yellow. If you see complement, that's another way to say not that. The complement of yellow would be not yellow. Okay, for this part, which of the following numbers could represent the probability of an event? And for each example, explain why or why not. I'm going to have us go through and circle the ones that could represent an event. What about A? Could -1 represent a probability of an event?
No.
No, why not?
Because it's not a number.
It's negative. Can we have a negative probability? No, because we want our probabilities to be between 0 and 1. What about 4.2?
No.
No, because it's greater than 1. And what about 106%? Nope, it's greater than 1 or greater than 100%. When we get down to D, we have 0.888. Would that be a probability?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's between 0 and 1. 0.888 works, it's between 0 and 1. What about 0?
Yes.
Yes, what would we call something that has a 0 chance of happening? Yeah, we call that impossible. F, 39%.
Yes.
Yes, because it's between 0 and 100%. And what about G?
No.
No, G is negative or less than 0. Okay, the next part of your notes, they wanted you to look at the probabilities. What does each probability mean about the likelihood of an event occurring? So you can look back at your diagram that we made. Is the event certain, likely, unlikely, neither likely nor unlikely, or impossible? For number 1, if we have a probability of 1, what would we call that? Certain. It is definitely going to happen. What about 1 over 100? What would that be as a percent? 1%, or as a decimal would be 0.01. That's very unlikely. There's a very slim chance of that happening. What about 3? We have 0. Impossible. There's no chance of it happening. 1/2. Neither. So 1/2 is neither likely nor unlikely. It's a 50-50 shot of whether or not it happens.
Wait, but these-
Okay, and our last one, 9/10. What would we call that?
Very likely.
Yeah, that's very likely. Okay, for the next part of your notes, it's set up the same way. You have 3 questions where you need to describe the event as likely, unlikely, neither likely nor unlikely. I'm going to have you finish that up on your own. Homework for tonight is page 714, numbers 1 through 4, and page 715, numbers 1 through 6.